How we doing?
Great. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Mason Miller joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. This is a pretty fun fan fest. I know a lot of teams do this for your first time in San Diego, being able to do the fan fest part. What do you think about the crowd and how everybody's excited for the season?
I'm ready to go right now. we fast forward a couple months and just get this thing started. No, the weather here is amazing. Just getting around the ballpark, being around the fans. This really gets not only the fans excited, but us excited too. And I'm really just chomping at the bit to get down to Arizona and get things rolling.
You got limited time here in San Diego, but, for you, your family, I know you had to move and all that fun stuff that's not necessarily fun for you guys off the field. What has San Diego been like aside from playing games? Have you been able to enjoy it at all? What's your favorite parts about this city so far?
Man, it's hard to pick one. The weather is an easy answer, but yeah, everybody here made the process of getting here super easy, and we really didn't have a lot of off days. I think I had one off day in San Diego in those 2 months. But yeah, the food's awesome here. Being this close to the beach, just walk down there with a coffee in the morning, like that's a real treat. You don't get that in many other cities.
We're talking with San Diego Padres closer Mason Miller. Now, there were some talks about maybe you dabbling back in the starting pitching role. I mean, obviously that's a different approach. Just for somebody that's done both things, what's the preparation level like to get ramped up to be a starter compared to what you have done now so successfully as a reliever? What's the preparation like between the two tasks?
Yeah, I think a good analogy is just it's a longer takeoff ramp, longer runway. Spring training is a lot of, the starters building up. I think if you talk to a lot of players, like 3 or 4 weeks of spring training would be good for them, but that 6 weeks is really important for the starters to get built up to the point where they're going to be throwing 90 and 100 pitches every 5-6 days again. So the preparation changes a little bit, but I think as a reliever, it's a blessing that you're able to spend more time refining your craft and working on what you need to, as opposed to just, getting to the number of pitches you need to get to that day.
You decided to go with the closer role. The Padres want you to be in the closer role, be a bullpen guy. You got traded over to San Diego. There's a lineage of closers. I mean, how cool is it for you to be part of that lineage now of guys like Trevor Hoffman and all the all-stars that have been in the closer role, and to be able to run out of the bullpen here at Petco Park to maybe a new song next year, but being part of that lineage, how does that make you feel if you get to be part of that club?
It's a privilege. It really is. And having guys around here, Hoffy obviously, but, a lot of former players rolling through, just you see how much it matters. So to be able to put on the jersey, be able to run out of that bullpen late in the games, important situations, that's something I don't take lightly and is a real honor to do.
Something that, again, you necessarily, in your story, and I know you've told your story a handful of times, and there's a lot of causes that, because of your story that you're a big component of that we want to talk about in a little bit, but you had a very interesting story in college to a point where, you find out you have diabetes, which you didn't realize you had your entire life. You got to now train and prepare with that. It's, increased your velocity. And then with an extra year in COVID, you went from maybe taking a finance job to now pitching at the major league level. Tell us real quickly about that journey for you. And did you ever get a surreal moment of walking into a ballpark and like, this is my life, and it could have been something way different?
I try to remind myself of that every day. My buddies always joke with me, thank God you didn't take the finance job. It really just everything lined up the way that it did. And I truly am blessed to be here and to pitch in a beautiful stadium like this, travel around and play in the major leagues. And that's certainly not something I take lightly. And moments like these where you get to interact with the fans, interact with kids, and, really just give yourself that perspective of how much this means to so many people outside of ourselves, because it means a lot to us too.
I know you're locked in all the time when you're on the mounds. It's a profession, right? I mean, you get to enjoy it sometimes, but how many times in your career have you been able to take in any type of moment and be like, I'm pitching in a major league stadium, I'm pitching at Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park or a traditional place, and are there any times where you still get to feel like a kid even though you're doing a job?
I think every day when I go out there to play catch at 3:30 in the afternoon, I'm here at the ballpark before anybody else is. I get to go out, do my work, and get ready to play in a Major League Baseball game. And I try to take a moment, like right before I go into the game, just center yourself, ground yourself, and remind yourself how lucky you are to be doing what you're doing. And a lot of people would love to be in the position that I am and any of these players are. So That's not something we take lightly, and we show up every day like somebody's trying to take it from us.
We talked about a little bit of your journey throughout college. The velocity went up and down, right? You got diagnosed with diabetes. You figured out how to manage that. You're, a great symbol of confidence, I think, for a lot of kids that get diagnosed with that disease that we'll talk about in a second. But velocity kept ticking up and up and up. That first time you hit triple digits, and you knew you hit triple digits, how fast did that feel off your hands? And, what was the reaction of, I just touched 100 right there?
I really don't have a single moment to point back to. I didn't have the data that we have access to at stadiums nowadays, where you just kind of, look around and see how hard it was. The first time seeing it back after the draft, that's like a milestone, a check mark, But ultimately, it's not about how hard you're throwing it. It's just about going out there and competing. So, I just like feeling good out there, feeling the ball coming out easy. When I try to throw it harder, usually it ends up dropping down a mile an hour or two. So, just kind of staying in the flow state and, just letting your body do its thing.
We're talking with Mason Miller, San Diego Padres closer here at FanFest, the Braden Surprenant Show, special Saturday edition. You went to a first pitch dinner not too long ago, Gardner Webb.
Yep.
I emceed one last night, University of San Diego. Got to see a lot of, college kids. You were once there. You got your number retired. What was your experience like at Gardner Webb? I know you were throwing a bullpen there the other day. What was it like to go back and have your jersey retired at some place that you played at?
Yeah, I think it's awesome to have those chances. We talk a lot about perspective and things that give you that perspective. Nothing really better than going back to a place that you were for a big period of time in your life, and the feelings you felt there, what your goals were, how you viewed life in general, and now going back there and kind of feeling those feelings again, but with all the learning and perspective that you've gained over these next couple years. So I think it's just an awesome point to reflect and, express your gratitude to those people that were helping you and fortunately are still there. And just being grateful and remembering where you came from.
Talking with Mason Miller, and let's talk about the season coming up. I mean, obviously the bullpen got a bunch of dogs in it, like it was last year. You got Ruben Niebla as the pitching coach still. Craig Stammen's now the manager. You got a lot of pitching help around you.
Yep.
Good start, beginning part of the starting staff. What's your excitement level for the season, and what are you looking forward to most taking the field with these guys?
Man, it's hard to pick one thing, isn't it? I'm looking forward to opening day. The ballpark packed out, and just us getting to put all the hard work that we've done these last couple months, and we'll continue to do in spring training, put it to the test, and get back out there and compete for real.
I got a question for you. I'm going to steal from the morning show. They were talking about this. So you're a sports fan. I know you played golf in high school too, but in different sports, there's different times where the fans go nuts, right? Offense has the ball in football, you're a little quiet, right?
Yeah.
When defense is going, you're getting loud. Baseball, there's not really too much of a time. When do you like hearing crowd noise? Is it always when you pitch? Who do you think it benefits? And when do you want to really feel that energy at home, away? Talk to us about the crowd noise. It's different in baseball. It's just kind of a different vibe.
It is. It's incredibly different. That moment right before the pitch is about to be delivered, and the air kind of like sucks out of the stadium, and it could be real loud, but everybody pauses for 1 second. I feel like that's the moment for me as a pitcher where I feel like I have everybody's attention, everybody's breath like in my hand with this pitch, and that's special. And I feed off that. But there's nothing beats running in from the bullpen and hearing everybody cheering, excited, and in my case, hopefully about to bring home a W for the boys.
Would you rather? I mean, it's hard to compare because San Diego's great and the crowd noise is great.
Yeah.
There's got to be some enjoyment though when you're running in on the road and everybody's screaming not for you but for the other guy, and you silence the crowd. What's that feeling like at a big league level? Yeah,
usually after the first couple pitches for me, just get in there, get in the zone, swing and miss, maybe set one guy down. But, baseball's a game of momentum, and the momentum can shift really, really fast. So as a guy out of the bullpen, you just want to keep the momentum that your guys have established and just keep rolling, be efficient, be pointed, come in there and be on point.
Last thing for you, I know you're very involved in the diabetes community and a lot of kids. Tell us about, the certain foundations you work with and, how people can get involved to help that cause.
Yeah, being in San Diego, I wear a Dexcom device. So looking forward to working with them, in the years to come. But also, Mike King is something him and his wife Sheila have a foundation, King of the Hill, and that focuses on diabetes as well. So excited to help with them now that I'm here. And, I'm just looking forward to continuing to find those ways to, work through with breakthrough type 1 diabetes. And really, any opportunity I have, I jump at doing that.
Mason, I know you got a very busy day. You're moving all over the place. We appreciate you taking some time with us, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Absolutely.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Mason Miller, host of the San Diego Padres, joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show.